I done had that drip all my life, so obviously that's why they put me on the pen. It's the only way it was gonna get on paper. Y'all ain't get that, it went over y'all heads. Anyway, I'm gonna treat this shit like Disney. I'm gonna use my pen. Y'all better tune the fuck in, tap in. What's up? So I'm Neo Gold is my artist name. And the piece that I'm gonna do today is Mama, I'm the Gun. It's inspired by my real life story, true events. And it's also inspired by Rihanna's Mama, I Shot a Man Down, and Erykah Badu's Mama's Gun album. Mama, my gun keeps shooting. And if it keeps going, I know that they'll put me in a penitentiary because they don't really get me. You see, they don't get the philosophy. And I got this feeling that it's your fault. You and Dad fucked and started a revolution, created a walking solution for the masses, unintentionally creating an infinite being. See, if Grandma only knew that you were in her basement creating heavy artillery and that it could do what I can, I wonder if she would have kept going on. See, I'm the shooter that's gonna shoot like Cleo, take my life if that means I've stood for something worth saluting. See, I be the gun, I be the girl that's road running but still making shit work. I hurt. Okay, so that particular piece was basically me telling my mom, like, bro, you have no idea what you and my dad did the night that y'all conceived me. You know, like, at the time, it was cool. It was 1997. Y'all was having a great time. You was kicking it in my grandma's basement, and one thing led to another. But the conception of me was really me being a walking weapon in the body of just a girl. And that I am really heavy artillery, and that I also, with all the things that I've had to carry, I'm still gonna be the revolution. I'm still gonna keep going, and that there are societies and governments that don't want for me to tell this story, to tell the truth of, you know, who we are as Black creatives, but really the force that we are to be reckoned with. And that people want to take my life for that. You know, the government wants to take our life for that. However, I'm still gonna keep telling my story. I'm still learning how to use, how to become more of who I am anyway. As you two entangled, you created the best soul tie. The best gun was made from the lineage of two with blessed will and desire. But I wish that I knew that I was the one that I needed to tell to cease fire. I've spent 27 years learning how to use this gun. But you know what? It used to jam. But lately I've been getting clever. A little, hey sugar, can I touch your clip? Ain't getting the job done, because even the clip got compartments that you got to be trained for. So that part was really like, I'm like me realizing like I'm a gun for real. Like I am the heavy artillery that like everyone or the people around me may not have really even noticed for real. Like I was just weapon just built, and now I'm trying to figure out how to use it. I'm trying to figure out how do I go on in this world, and me feeling like, you know, this world has attacked me, but also I've attacked me, you know, and life is going to resemble what I give myself. So in this moment, I'm like realizing like, bro, it's been me too. Like, it ain't been everybody else that done did nothing to me. It's been me too, looking in the mirror and saying like, I wish I knew that I needed to tell myself to cease fire, to not talk to myself that way, to not treat myself that way, to recognize when my boundaries are being crossed, all of that. And so the part when they was like, you know, a little, hey sugar, can I touch your clip? Ain't getting the job done anymore. You know, that's a play on niggas or women trying to, you know, approach me like, can I, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to da-da-da-da. And I'm like, nah, like the old stuff that used to turn me on or used to make me like really want somebody don't even excite me no more. Like that ain't even getting the job done. Like even the clip got compartments you got to be trained for. Like, bro, you got to like, in my mentality on this is like, bro, you got to at least have spent 5 years in the military to even understand what I'm talking about, you know, or in a program or in some type of training of yourself to even understand where I'm at, you know? And so that's where I'm talking about how I'm not for everybody. But at the same time, I have to recognize not everybody is for me. Like, you might not have the training to be able to handle something like me. And that's cool, you know? I done been carrying this machine all my life with no instruction. Now I see why all the assault happened. It's because I was the deadly weapon that the enemy wanted to take out. I got certified kill shots and master precision, but the men in black, they just want to knock my lights out and make sure that I never become the memory that I was meant to be, Momma. You started this revolution. How could you have me knowing that you weren't ready for who I was meant to become? I'm spraying everybody in this site. It's crazy how I learned the strategies of chess from hood niggas and building kingdoms even when old farts don't want them shits. Checking mates after rooks have been moved wrong. I was taught to shoot, but never taught that I too was the gun. Trained from a young age in the worst ways that I got good aim and master precision. I mean, check the stats, Momma, I'm nice. I feel like as a black person, period, we have all experienced some form of assault. Whether that's in our lineage, whether that's actual, you know, physical, emotional, whatever type of assault in our real lives, we all can relate to that because we've experienced it. And to me, it's like, I'm like, dang, now I really seen why all that happened is because I'm what they really wanted. Like, you know, when grandma used to tell you, you know, at a young age, like, don't let the devil get in your head or whatever, you know, and it's like growing up and really realizing it's like there's only two things in this world, and that's what you consider good and evil. But it's really how much you give yourself and to what are you giving it to. And I had to realize, like, bro, like, these things have happened to me, but it's because there are things or forces in this world that don't want to ever see me really win. They don't want to see my people become more than what they are. They want to make sure that we don't get to have memories that are fond, that are joyful, that are continuing. They want us to continue to have this hashtag mentality or, you know, whatever. And that's not really what the reality is. So in this part, I'm telling my mom, like, bro, how could you have me when you didn't, first of all, you didn't even want to battle in this. And now you got a staking in something that's bigger than you, and you aren't even willing to put the stake down. Like, you're not even willing to put yourself in it and realize, like, the part that you're playing in this whole game of life. So, you know, I say, like, the chess move, because they always talk about how in chess is like the game of life, you know, like you learn all these different strategies and it can help you through life and stuff. And it's like, I never learned that in school. They wasn't talking about chess at school. I didn't learn chess after school. Chess wasn't something I heard around me. But the hood niggas I know chess. And they taught me chess. And I'm like, these old farts don't even want me to know how to get all these strategies to be able to get me out of this system that they built already. Because if I better myself, if we as people just better ourselves, our minds, and our intellect, is bound for us to be able to break out of the systems that were created for us. So I'm like, I'm checking mates after rooks have been moved wrong. Like, you know, I already seen the ending. You moved your rook. I already knew you was gonna move your rook wrong before you moved it wrong. You know? So just being in that space of like, now this part of the poem is, I know who I am. And I'm challenging everyone who's known who I was before I became who I was. And now it's like, dang, you ain't wanna be on the team, bro? That sucks. But I still gotta keep going. Okay, so how did I get into poetry? Whew. Well, honestly, I've been writing since I was like 5 or 6 years old. My mama, she was dating this dude, and for Valentine's Day, he just was like, write your mama a poem, like, to me and my brother. And at the time, we didn't know nothing about it, but we did it, and he put it in this big old heart in the middle of a living room. It was too cute, right? And so ever since then, I've been writing poetry. And I started to like really get noticed for poetry when I was in high school. Like I was like one of the only poets at school, and I would just do it in my talent shows, or I would just spit some poetry to my friends. I used to just hang out with every friend group. And so then people just started calling me the poet. Like that was my name in high school. And then one year, well, after we graduated, there was this dude, his name is Poche. And he was an art curator, or is an art curator. I hope he's doing good now. But if you see this, shout out Poche. But my first event was because he rented out this warehouse. And he rented out Gallery 992. He gave me my first 2 events. And he was like, you want to come spit some poetry? I'm like, sure. Like, okay. And so I did. And then people just like really, that's when people was like, okay, I'm trying to have you at my event to do this or whatever the case may be. And so I always had a passion for poetry. I do so many other things as well too, though. Like I'm a multi-hyphenate creative and entrepreneur. I've been studying financial literacy since I was 19, around the same times that I had my first art event. And having those two yin and yang things, because finances and art are like 2 yin and yangs, right? Like we don't really see these things together unless it's like you have a business around art and you have to learn about money. But I always had this like high inclination towards learning about finances, because my dad, he used to always talk to me about money. But I met my favorite author when I was in middle school, and she used to tell me she told me one time when I met her that I would never make money writing a book. She was like, I only make 25 cents a book. I'm like, so my dreams are crushed. Like I'm in middle school, my dreams are crushed, bro. So luckily I was resilient and I still kept up with doing my art anyway. And my dad's talking to me about money, and then I hear about this MLM, and I joined this MLM, and they talking about a whole bunch of crap. But I noticed that a lot of them are being mentored by these high influence people, Bob Proctor, Les Brown, Eric Thomas, these big name motivational speakers and people that study the mind. So I started doing that. And that really branched me into being a multi-hyphenate. Now I've gone international 3 times with poetry, with myself and being a model in Vogue magazine. And then also there's a third one in there, and I'll remember it sometime. But you can read the magazine that's in my bio on Instagram, xo.neononame. I have the more about that there, but I'm a money therapist. I be talking to people about their bag, because your spiritual issues show up in your bank account. Whether you want them to show that or not, they do. Your traumas from when you was a kid show up in your bank account. What your mama and your daddy didn't do for you, they spent money, they didn't have McDonald's money, that's still hurting you right now. Like, let's talk about it. Because everybody want to talk about how you want to get money, and that's cool. But if you can't keep money, if you having a breakdown every time you spend $40 over your budget, obviously it's something that need to get talked about. So I be talking about that. I be modeling. I do poetry. I'm also in sales. I've been in sales since I was 15. I've done a bunch of things. I'm Atlanta raised, so when people say multi-hyphenate, I'm truly a multi-hyphenate. But however, I hone in on each of my crafts to ensure that I'm giving people the best experiences, because I've been in spaces where people didn't know what they needed to know, and it's cost me so much. So I took the journey to make sure that I knew what I was getting myself into. I knew my own money stuff, so that if I got an accountant, they wouldn't be messing me over. Or I knew about poetry and painting and how to get this amount in sales, or how to generate this in e-commerce, whatever. I learned all of that to ensure that I wouldn't have nobody that could mess me over. And so I teach people how to do the same thing. Like, how do you live your fullest life? That's really what money therapy is about. How can I get you to knowing that you're already living your most abundant life, but being and living that every day while maintaining and figuring out what ways you're most abundant. So that's what I do. You can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on Well, really, I just got Instagram. I just got Instagram and TikTok. I do both of those. I'm also open for bookings for bag therapy, as well as just consultations for your business, for yourself. I focus on doing luxury brand management as well. So there's a way for you to architect all of this to your dreams and helping you build your dream self and your dream avatar. So, you know, it's like, yeah, let's get this money together, but like, let's really heal together so that we know what to do with the money and we can actually be in joy and self-full. So if you want to keep up with me, you got my Instagram. January 2026, watch out for me because we got my 1 year of bag therapy. And then, you know, shout out to my Sagittarius because it's our birthday season. So, peace, y'all.